How are we doing? We're back again. It's not, we're always here, kind of, I guess, except the times when we miss when we're traveling, which I feel like is kind of rare. Although, real quick thought on my like restream, like things that it gives me, like my recaps, it has like a section in there automatically where it says like how many weeks in a row you've been streaming. And sometimes I get really upset when it's like up at like 30 and then I have to skip for some reason. So kind of sad. Oh well, though. Yeah, here we are. Appreciate all you guys tuning in. Derek, what's up? What's up? Glad you're doing well, brother. I sent the email out today, so hopefully you got that. If not, I have email problems. But here's the deal. Little bit of a couple things I want to talk about real quick. Some recap stuff, extremely quickly, because we have an incredible amount of stuff to go over today. I got to grab a link for you guys because I am interested in something here that I want to share with you. And then we're going to dive right into it. So today is all about scheduling tools because I'm going to give you a little bit of the context around that. I've been trying to do this for a very long time. And it's like I just have too much knowledge sitting over in this Notion doc that I want to share with you guys and just a bunch of different things. So hopefully some of this is helpful. And if you have any questions along the way, please don't hesitate to ask because there's too much information to go over in one video here with 7 different tools that I have lined up. So we're definitely not going to get to everything. But again, I want to try to just start this conversation because I think a lot of people have this issue for themselves or their clients, and I think it's a really good one that I want to kind of cover here. All right, so the first thing that I want to do is I'm not going to do this in this live stream. We could do it, but it's kind of like not really. Maybe I'll do it like in a different video or something like that. But I do want to just point you guys over here. Probably a lot of you already know about this. Kyle didn't ask me to do this or whatever, but this is like my favorite thing every year, and I kind of want to do one for myself. I think other people should do it for themselves as well because everybody has their own communities and we could like pull it together. But it would be cool. Like I just really like the questions that get asked in this the admin bar survey here. So if you just head over to the admin bar here, I just click that twice. Whoops. I'm just gonna drop this in here. I'm gonna drop this in the chat. If you guys haven't done this yet, it would be really cool. I think I would love to see either the admin bar or some other like community like this get a shit ton of people. Normally I think they have, is it like 1,000 or so? Normally the past years, but go here and do this because this just gives us all a better understanding of like who we all are as far as like how big our agencies are, our operations in general, what we're doing and everything. I love seeing this data. So definitely go check this out and do this. And maybe I'll do this either in upcoming live stream. I think I might have one more week here before it closes on April 11th, or I will just do it in like a video or something because I do want to kind of go through this and maybe kind of give my insights on some of the things too. Definitely going to cover the data when it's out because I think we did that last time. So very interesting thing there. Just wanted to promote that real quick because that's like I think one of the best things we got going on here in the WP community. So just some interesting stuff there. Let me head back over this. Am I using new lighting? So real quick on that, I didn't put the video on YouTube, but I put the video on like Instagram or something. Obviously, I'm not happy with this setup. This is like a bedroom in our house, but I have like a proper podcast studio space downstairs that my wife used for a podcast with her and her friend. I'm going to convert that over the next couple months to an actual studio. So I say all that to say that I'm trying to make this a little bit better before I get there. So there's like a ceiling fan that I just turned off and then I just have the light. So it looks a little different. Hopefully it looks slightly better. But I won't be here for too much longer because I got to go build that downstairs. So yes, to a degree. Yes, Derek. Manos, what's up? What's up? Derek got the email. That's fantastic. Jesus. Matt says SavvyCal is the answer. That's it. I've said it 100 times. Well, Matt, we're going to find out today because I've never actually used SavvyCal. I've used a bunch of other ones on this list. And I played around with this a lot, but I don't know. I'll sign up for SavvyCal and we'll play around with it. And I'll give you my perspective because I don't know. We'll see. Almost took the survey, but I remembered it being so long previous year. Yeah, it's I think he's using I think he was using something different before. Maybe Airtable, maybe still Airtable, but it's a little hefty. Jackson, what's up? What's up? Thank you for being here, brother. Let's dive into this here. Okay, so high level, as you can see by the thumbnail that I whipped up in 3 minutes. Pretty proud of that thumbnail for a 3-minute job. 7 tools on the docket here. All of them are in the description of this video, wherever you're watching. And the context behind this is that I love the concept. Once I found Calendly several years ago, I was like, wow, this is amazing. I don't have to go back and forth. You would not believe how many people, not just in the agency space and WordPress space, but you would not believe how many people literally set appointments via like just straight up DM. And I'm not saying that's necessarily a bad thing. I do think there's some probably like more efficient ways, obviously, to do that. I can't, every time I get like, even now, okay, there's a couple pieces to this, but even now in April of 2025, there's obviously better ways to do this, which I'll cover. And, you know, guys like Matt over on his AI channel now will cover. We'll get to those things. But as a base case at this point, if you're not using some level of scheduling tool like this, I do think you're most of the time missing out. There's a little bit of nuance here, obviously, because sometimes people don't like you doing that. They'd rather just like have a conversation with you back and forth and be like, hey, does this time work for you or this time work for you? I think that's incredibly inefficient. I try to avoid that at all costs. Maybe right off the top here, I'll give you a couple of tips if you're interested in this topic is anytime that somebody asks me, it's remarkable how many times people ask me for a meeting if it's like a sponsorship, you know, potential deal or something like that, they'll be like, "Hey, what does next week work?" or something like that. If you're going to do that, make sure that you say like a day and time, like right there, so you actually have something to go off of. The whole blanket thing, this is how I respond to those. If you get that shit, this is how I responded, okay? I'm like they're like, "Hey, does can we set up a meeting for next week?" I'm like, yeah, we can set up a meeting." But like I'll say something like, if I'm trying to be polite, I'll be like, "Hey, do you have a calendar link? If not, here's my full calendar," and I'll link directly to the like the Calendly event that in this case, and you know, we'll talk about the rest of the tools, but just at a high level, like I'll say, you know, here's the calendar link. I'm talking a little language type shit here, but the point is that trying to be like efficient, but sometimes people are like off-putting to that if you're trying to set those meetings up one to one. That's one use case. The other use cases are, and as you'll see with some of these tools, are like businesses that are trying to utilize, you know, setting up for, you know, consultation appointments or setting up maybe like literal like I've seen I use this example all the time with LatePoint. The first time I saw that, it was like scheduling driving range bays at a local place here in Pittsburgh, and I was like, "That's amazing." So a lot of these tools are very versatile, and I've learned a little bit of nuance with each one, and some of them we'll explore here for the first time. So what I need from you guys in the comments as we go through this is if you have any specific, probably can't do more than these 7 today, but if you have any specific use cases, drop them below, and I'll try to like kind of, you know, weave that into what we're talking about here. But I kind of just want to give you all of my experience that I have, and again, like explore some other things. So that's kind of like the super high level. Yeah. So cool. You should invent Marky Cow. Maybe one day. Yeah, maybe one day. Where's our favorite German? I don't know where he's at. He might be. Is he sleeping? No, I don't know. What does he say? Don't own me because you hate me. Yeah, exactly. All right. So let's dive into this. I'm gonna give you the high level here. Let's go over here. Okay, cool. So I already have the other little theme here is with these 7 tools. A few of them are like WordPress specific tools, right? Like they're literally integrated directly into WordPress, and the other ones are like SaaS basically that you could obviously embed into WordPress and whatever, but there's a couple that are actual plugins and a couple of them that aren't. And real quick on that, when I started using Calendly way back in the day, it's a great tool. It's objectively a great tool. Spoiler, it's the one I'm currently using right now. I'll tell you the trajectory, what happened there. But it is terrible at like embedding. Like you would think at this point they would have like a little bit of a better solution, and maybe they do. I just don't know of it. But it's literally you have to embed it, and it kind of looks wonky in a way because you know if it gets bigger, you have more questions. The actual iframe gets larger, and you have to account for that, so you don't get like this double scrolling thing. You guys know these types of issues, so it's a real pain. Most other people probably won't care, but you know for us actually doing this work, it is really annoying. So you know, so that's one concern with Calendly. But there's so many other things there that, you know, I'll talk about that I've just, that's the reason that I've landed back on it. But anyway, there's a couple of these, let's just go through at a high level, just in case you didn't know all the logos on the thumbnail here real quick. So from the WordPress side of things, like the actual WordPress plugins, the ones that are, you know, kind of more built in, what we have on the docket here is Fluent Booking. We have LatePoint, and we have Jet Appointments. or Jet Appointment from Crock-a-Block. Okay, so those are the three that I'm going to take a look at. I already have kind of like well, Jet Appointment doesn't have a free version, but LatePoint and Fluent Booking, I believe, do have some level of a free plugin now in the repo. I have some of that loaded up here over on our demo site. We'll play around with that, and they all have, again, like different, like, quirks to them. Some of them better than others, some of them interesting. But the problem with these damn tools is you get so far into this, and then you're like, wait a second, I need this thing, and it won't have it. So again, I'm just going to tell you about those types of struggles that I've seen. So those are the three there. One other thing that I'll point out too is I did a video a long time ago at this point, probably a year or so, where it was right around the time Fluent Booking came out, and I was in Calendly. I had Calendly. I had that issue where I didn't like it, that it wasn't, built into WordPress. Fluent Booking came out. I tried that. I was like, at that time, it was kind of like a little lightweight. Like I couldn't really switch to it. And that's when I looked into LatePoint. And around that time, I switched to LatePoint. And since then, I've gotten to know the lead developer at LatePoint. Team's fantastic. It's awesome. There's just the only issue is that for what I'm trying to do, and maybe yours is different, so let me know. You could see, like, even just from the high level here of this, like, this is really, really good for service-based business. This is probably my go-to before we even dive in for service-based businesses where you're trying to do like specific stuff, because you could get really crazy really fast with how, the different agents that you have, the different services. It's literally built for that. So when I was trying to do that, I wasn't really trying to utilize that. I was trying to do more of like virtual meetings and then in-person meetings at different locations for these events and things like that. I ran into some hurdles that I couldn't overcome there. So that's why I ended up switching back to Calendly. So again, just giving you the bit of it there. Let's look at the other ones that we're going to talk about. SavvyCal, Matt Medeiros' favorite thing in the entire world. I've never used it. I'm not even sure if I have an account, so I'll log into that and check it out. Almost didn't make the list, and then I remembered that I had to put it on there. But I'm sure it's a great product. I've actually booked through it, but there's a lot of like interesting things right off the bat. Every time I click on a SavvyCal link, I see like a whole calendar instead of just time slots. I know that's configurable, but there's that whole thing. I'm sure there's a lot of other interesting things in the back end, which I'll try to see as much as I can. I don't know if I'm going to actually like sign up for a full account, but I know they have some level of free thing. Cal.com is a really interesting one because it is Calendly open source effectively. I think this is open source. I'm almost certain this is. And it's almost like, I mean, we're talking about schedulers here, right? Like there's some level of similarity between all of them, but this one I was like, I hopped in, I was like, interesting. It's Calendly, but it has certain less features and it's open source. So I also like the brand. I mean, this is cool. Like this is like straight up like the branding and everything like that. The fonts and everything are definitely a little cooler. But again, we'll talk about that. There's just like different things in between here. Obviously, there's other categories like pricing and such that we could talk about. The SaaS ones are going to be like relatively similar. It's not even really that huge of a deal. And like I said, this is a difficult topic to entirely talk about because everyone's specific use cases is different. So again, if you have specific ones, I'll try to grab some. But yeah, that's kind of the main thing there that I would say. Then we have Calendly here, which funny enough, just randomly, Calendly is the only one that you can't seemingly go to the actual homepage. It just keeps redirecting you back into the app here. So this is one that I use Calendly currently for my personal stuff or my personal brand stuff, and then also the agency things. Might be kind of interesting to go look at the agency side of it just for the meetings and things like that. But the big thing here was that there are specific, like super specific settings in here that I have configured that help me do things like this, like these CloudFest meetings, PressConf meetings, whatever, like these in-person event meetings somewhere other than in your home base that for some reason these other ones just don't seem to have. Well, not all of them necessarily because I don't know every single one of them, but that's kind of the main thing there that is the reason that brought me back to Calendly. And then this one. Now, this is the one that also like I haven't looked at in a long time, and it's just Google Calendar. But the thing about Google Calendar here is, I mean, this is the other motif, okay, that you're going to see throughout this, is that the problem with Google Calendar, or not the problem with Google Calendar, but the problem with the way that I run my life, maybe you guys do, maybe you guys don't. I could make a 10-hour video on how I manage this shit. But if you look here on the left-hand side, there's like multiple different layers of calendars, right? And right now I have multiple different Google accounts. I'm in multiple different calendars. I have multiple different calendar layers, and I manage my life from the calendar account digital setting in layers, in accounts, like however you want to say it. So Samansky Media, as you see here, is everything like personal brand. It's sponsorship stuff. It's YouTube stuff. It's consulting stuff. All of this thing, all the stuff that's like media, so to speak, right? Like any of that level of stuff. Find a Tech is my agency, so that's any sort of website design, pay per click stuff, like any sort of the service based things, that client work. Obviously, Mark is my personal one. Amanda and Mark is my shared calendar with my wife, right? One day we might have like a family calendar. You can see how this gets like ridiculous. And if you don't go this level of organization, then okay, that's fine. But this is how I deal with it. So the problems that kind of like creates is now we have like multiple layers of these calendars that are shared from different accounts. So I have an account for Samansky Media, like arksamansky.co. I have an account for Find a Tech, findatech.com. I have an account, just a Gmail account that I've had since I was like 10 or whatever, for all my personal like shit, like whatever, like bills and stuff. So those three things now have to intertwine with all of this shit that we're talking about here today. And this is another one of those big problems. Forget the settings and little things I was talking about there. The other problem is if you do it like this, there's two main things that you can kind of see when you go into each one of these accounts or each one of these scheduling tools. There's are we checking different accounts and different potentially calendar layers? You have to check for conflicts, and then you have to actually book to one, right? And there's kind of like a two-prong issue there. The first one is, okay, we want to book to, if we're doing the media stuff in my case, right? Then I want to book to that calendar. If I have a different scheduling account and I want to book to, and I'm doing agency stuff, then I want to book to that calendar. So there's, it's like you have to make a decision there depending on what thing you have. Again, like this is why you can't really have two different business types in like one Calendly account, because you can only book to one calendar, that type of thing, right? So that's why I have to have two Calendly accounts as an example. But the bigger issue, honestly, is the checking for conflicts. Calendly actually has different plans. I'm not certain of them right now, but like at different tiers of the plans, you have different amounts of calendars that you can actually check against. So think of it like this. If you have like one calendar that you have to check against, it's maybe the first plan, or like two calendars or three calendars. But at one point, in my circumstance, I have 1, 2, 3, 4 that I have to check against. I'm pretty sure that's like one of the higher plans. You get what I'm saying? So you can probably forget about all this. I would recommend this approach because this does help so much. It's a little bit of setup and confusing at first, but it helps you because you can just turn on and off different layers at any given time. And the other thing is, if like in this case, I'll give you a real world example here, right? Let's say you have a significant other. I don't see it on here. I don't have it on here because this is like a different calendar. I actually have to check against 5 layers. There's another calendar layer that I have on here that's just like my wife's stuff, right? So my wife has like all of her events. Then I have all my personal events. Well, I want to see those events, like just so I can kind of like see the calendar as a whole, but I don't need to check against those events. You get what I'm saying? I know I'm doing a lot of visualization here. Unfortunately, I can't turn on all these layers to show you all this shit. But like my point is that there is a way to set this up that's super efficient. Takes a little bit on the front end, but it's super efficient. But then when you go into like you start to mold your business part into your into your personal part per se, then there's a lot of issues. I'm saying all this on the Google Calendar spot because I just tried this today, and I'm actually incredibly impressed with this piece here, this appointment scheduler piece on the Google Calendar thing. You can kind of see here where it says test. I don't know how small this is, but you can kind of see here. Can I zoom into this? Yeah, a little bit, whatever. You can see where it says test here. This is actually the way that this works. It becomes like an appointment scheduler thing. And I can kind of show you, like, if I go to, I don't know, maybe here, does this work? Yeah. So this is kind of like the concept here, right? So this is basically Calendly or whatever. We'll just start here. This is Calendly or whatever built in. This is actually where I would recommend you start as well. If you're a Google customer, I think they have this on Outlook, but I don't have Outlook. So you're out of luck there. Maybe go look up another video. If you have Google Calendar, I noticed a couple things. The first thing is, if you have the free version of just Gmail, right, then you actually have this built in, but you have a limited version. One thing I noticed was if you scroll down to the bottom and you look at calendars, you can't add more. This is what I was exactly talking about here. Check calendars for availability and conflicts. You can't add more, I believe, if you're just on the free Gmail, straight out of the box plan. You'd have to either upgrade to a Google One plan, or you'd have to have, this is Google Workspace. So obviously this is its own domain, everything like that. So my point is that that's something that you may want, but if you're just trying to schedule some appointments completely for free, that's an option. It's just, and you have Gmail, just kind of maybe go check at this, because this is something that I feel like was implemented maybe a year or two ago at this point, but I feel like it's definitely, I looked at it when it came out, and it is definitely way better than it was back then. So if you were going to do an appointment, for instance, let's say you have a test thing here, you can set your durations and all that. You can set your, repeat weekly, does not repeat, like specific timelines here. There's a lot of different options that if you're familiar with a Calendly, perhaps, then if you're a lightweight Calendly user and you have Google Workspace, you might honestly be able to get rid of that and just use this, just from the high level, everything that I'm seeing here, because it has like scheduling windows, it has all this sort of stuff. It says adjust availability, indicating, based on your, days and times and things. Booked appointment settings, so you can put buffers in here. I mean, this is actually incredibly impressive. Like, for all being built in here, I did not realize this was this built out at this point. You can add co-hosts. There's another section over here where it's like booking that you can't, I don't really think you can change that too much. Location and conferencing. You can also do locations. It definitely doesn't have all the features, because Calendly is a full SaaS, has been there for years, that only solves this problem. But this is a great example of like the bigger company coming in and just being like, well, we could do that because we already have people on our platform. Even the booking form. Now, this obviously is not as robust. There's like phone number and then like custom item. I don't even know what the hell they're doing here. They should probably just add a couple more in there, because you can do a lot more, obviously, with the other platforms. But they even have confirmations. Now, this is another place that'd be weak probably compared to the other tools, is that the workflows, you can't really do, it doesn't seem like you can do like text. Maybe? No, it doesn't really, I don't know. Maybe if you had phone number in here, just for fun. Let's see. No. So like you can't do like text reminders. You can't do all sorts of other automation stuff. I mean, well, let me put an asterisk there. It is, again, as I was talking earlier, 2025. You could probably link up some N8N shit or something like that and make a lot of crazy stuff. But as far as internally with the UI, it doesn't seem like you do too much there. But this is, again, a great starting point, and I'm super happy that I checked this out today as I was doing this, preparing for this, because there's a ton of really interesting stuff here. The one thing that I don't really love, I mean, there's not really a better way to do it, but the one thing that I don't really love is that I'm creating this in my calendar, like directly in my calendar, which does make sense. But now it's kind of like changing the vibe of my calendar here. Like, I understand the reason this is here, but that was the first thing I was like, how am I gonna see it? Like, what's gonna happen? And this is probably the best way that I could think to do this, but it just keeps that up, like, consistently throughout the rest of the time that you have it there. So it's a little weird. It's a little jarring that it's now in your calendar. And again, what you're seeing here on the screen is the least amount of shit that I could show you, like the most amount of stuff that I could show you, and it's an incredibly small amount of shit. Like, if I turned on all the layers, it would be, the whole calendar would be filled. So just having another thing in there is kind of like annoying, because I know that it's in, like, I know that when I have a Calendly scheduled, like, it's not like it's blocking it off in my actual calendar. So that's one weird thing that I kind of did notice right away. But again, like I said, this is a free option for basically 100% of people, as long as you have some level of a Gmail situation. And then if you want to upgrade, you can upgrade. But you're not going to upgrade just on this feature. You're going to upgrade and get like Google One storage. You're going to get like, Google Workspace or whatever. So yeah. Select day view. Yeah, I think I could have zoomed in like that as well. Yeah. So, just a high level on that one. Would highly recommend, if you have that set up. It's a good place to start, because it kind of gave you the idea of what I'm currently kind of like working with and playing around with. So that's something that, I would consider doing if I were you. If we go over to Calendly here, I mean, I guess I'll show you this one real quick, because I feel like Calendly is pretty ubiquitous. It was probably one of the first like pioneering ones, or at least the big ones that kind of come about. There's nothing. if I go through the high level of Calendly, it'd probably be good because it is the next best place to start because that was the free one and that was the one that everybody just could pretty much have access to almost right away. Then Calendly though is the one that you would probably think of first. And it's the one ultimately that I'm using. So I'll give you a couple rundowns of like why I'm using it and a couple pieces of just the big things here. And then we could kind of compare with the rest of them because I do think that this is probably one of the most feature rich SaaS ones that we have here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to just go to maybe the press conf meeting. Also, if you're going to be at press conf, let me know. Down to chat. Although I don't know how this meeting link is actually going to work with press conf because we're going to be in the rooms for most of the time, so it might not be having many actual meetings like this. But neither here nor there. A couple things I'm gonna try to be extremely critical on certain ones here because I want to try to give you the full scope. They changed this UI recently, and I'm pretty annoyed by it because now it's like this random ass thing over here on the right side. Like I don't why do I want to look over here? My face is in the way too. Why would I want to do this? Is there a better place to put my no, that's not good. Let's do literally everything is on the right hand side. Let me see if I can ooh, hang on. Pause. Let's just do it like this. We'll do it like this. We'll go here. Where's my design thingy? This is the stuff I'm talking about here. They change UIs and it's just like, what the hell is going on? There we go. Okay. Why don't I just do this for now? Lovely. Okay. So we have this thing way over here on the right-hand side. It used to be like, it opens up and it just kind of like shows you a preview and everything like that. I think it kind of still does that, but it's just a strange thing. My point is that weird random thing about SaaS apps like this is I have another account like I was talking about for the agency, and that UI is literally different. I've had this happen with QuickBooks. I've had this happen with all these other ones because I have these different instances on these different like businesses effectively, and it's very weird. So that's a big weird thing that if you have used it, haven't used it, I don't really understand why this is way over here right now, but whatever. So here's the thing though. You may never have to do this, but I'm going to give you this use case because this is so rare and random. And this is the only real way that I could do this from what I found. This use case is a meeting that's in person somewhere else than where I live, somewhere else than the other person lives. It is also only during a specific time. And I also, to be as efficient as possible, want to I want to have all of my other meeting types. Imagine using Calendly for everything. I want all of my other meeting types to not be able to book during this time, but I do want this meeting to be able to book during that time because this is a meeting in person at that event. And I don't want to be taking like partnership exploration calls or synergy sessions or any other stuff. I just want this one to happen. You could say a bunch of different things. There's probably like other weird ways to do this. But the concept here is that on my calendar, I always have, like when I'm traveling, it sounds funny now that I say that because I wasn't a traveler a year ago. But when I'm traveling, I have a event over the entire time in my calendar that says away. And it says away press conf, whatever. And that's normally in my personal calendar, or it doesn't even really matter what calendar is in because I'm checking all of them for conflicts. So it says away. So when it says away, it's busy, like it's set to busy. And all busy means in Google Calendar is that none of your meetings can book during that time because you're busy. Okay, great. Well, that solves that problem. Nobody's gonna be booking partnership meetings because I'm away. Perfect. Well, there's an issue there though. I'm using the same system and I want to make sure that I can still have these meetings be booked. These, like a press conf meeting, for instance, right? There's one setting in here that I've never seen anywhere else, and it's so powerful. And I think it's in this section right here. So there's free and busy rules, right? Let me try to zoom in a little bit for you. There's free and busy rules when you go into this section. All the other stuff is generally pretty simple, buffers, time, and all that sort of stuff, right? The main thing right here is you can allow invitees to book over selected meetings on your connected calendars. And what does that mean? All that means is you come in here and you say add meeting exception, and you say includes or matches exactly, and it says the meeting name. And I just typed in the word away. And then because I have that thing in my calendar set, I have away, like the away event in my calendar set to busy. None of my other meetings can book, but this meeting can overwrite that. it just doesn't, it overrides it completely. Just this meeting type. And I know that's like a weird, crazy ass niche thing, but you would not believe. I'm sure you could dream up other scenarios where you'd want that to happen as well. But that's like a huge thing that I've never seen anywhere else. So, and I just happen to need that. So that's huge. I think every platform should steal this right here. And I brought this up to LayPoint. I brought this up to a bunch of people. Steal this thing, please, because it's incredible and you need it. So that's one thing there. That's one huge part of it right there. The second huge part of it is if we go back, I believe, to here, the other issue is these in-person meetings. And again, this is one of the reasons that I had to move from LayPoint over to here just for this stuff specifically, is because the issue is when you hop into a platform, maybe the SaaS ones do it a little bit better, but when you hop into a platform, you're trying to schedule, if you're there's a couple different ways, right? The easiest way is a virtual meeting. Like that, it's actually stupid simple, right? It's just we're gonna set up a Google Meet. Just tell me the time. It's cool, right? Whatever. And there's some scheduling stuff. It gets a lot more complex when you're trying to meet in person. So if you're trying to meet in person in your own town, then it's whatever. Like normally, if you're scheduling like a haircut or you're scheduling some sort of other meeting or whatever, it's not that big of a deal because you know that you can lock most of the time you can lock the location or the time zone to the location area. Like you can lock it to Pittsburgh in a sense. If your store is in Pittsburgh, it's like I'm never going to operate off of another thing because these are in-person events in Pittsburgh. I'll tell you what though, the funny thing is when both people are not in the time zone that you need to create, right? So again, niche thing, but it definitely does happen. This is a meeting in Arizona. Did I just mute my microphone? No. This is a meeting in Arizona. I don't live in Arizona. I am not currently in Arizona. I can't lock it to it doesn't make any sense to lock it to Eastern. There's other people that live around the world. Maybe they're in Central, maybe they're in whatever. It doesn't make any sense to lock it to their time because we're going to be in Arizona when the thing is happening. So I don't want to create some sort of weird, confusing thing where it's like, oh, is this 1 p.m., 4 p.m., whatever. So that's another issue. So this right here, I don't know where this setting actually is. I want to say it's potentially, I'm going to have to look for it. I think it's here. Is it here? It might be here. Is it this one? Somewhere in here, you can just literally lock it. I'm pretty sure it's this setting right here where you lock it to, in this case, Mountain Time or whatever. So it does not change. So when I look at it in, Pittsburgh, when they look at it in California, when they look at it in Germany, whatever, that is the day, that is we're talking about the time that it's going to be when we're on the ground in that place together. And that's when the meeting is. And again, that's just something that's stupid, simple in a way, but also super niche. And I found myself needing both of those. And again, Calendly is the only thing that can kind of bring all these settings together so far that does it for that. Does that mean Calendly is the only thing you should use? No, because you may not have these ridiculous requirements. But in my case, I wanted to start off with those things. The only other thing is date specific hours. So I think other platforms might have this as well. But you only want to have maybe your normal schedule is 9 to 5, but in this case you're going to be potentially extending to the evening and such, which in press conf case I might have to do that. Then you can expand your hours just for those certain days, and you can only put this thing on those certain days, right? The schedule only exists for those types of things. Everything else in here is relatively straightforward. You got duration, you have your date range, you have how often. This is another thing though, is invitees can schedule indefinitely into the future, 30 days in within a certain time range. You can have, again, like I said, the custom schedule. This is a big one, which I think people overlook often because I know I was doing this wrong for a long time. How quickly can somebody book? If they book right now, what do they see? Do they see an hour in advance, 2 hours in advance, a day in advance? That's another thing. So, you might want to make sure that you're always looking at that. Anything else crazy in here? Descriptions, buffer time. I think there's somewhere in here. I think it's in the settings though, but I'm not sure. It's in availability. I do want to show some of this. There's a setting in here. This I have to talk about this real quick. Every calendar app, every calendar schedule should have this, and I don't see many of them that do. The holiday schedule, I mean, this is unbelievable. I don't want to have to manually block off my calendar settings. And even in the Google Calendar, it shows the holidays, but they're not real events. They don't actually, you can't set them to be busy or anything. It's a real silly. I don't know why they do that. It's just kind of for show. This actually sets like New Year's Day as busy effectively, so nobody can book those, and you can like turn them on and off. This is the oh my god, chef's kiss feature right here. Unbelievable. Obviously, if you don't have United States holidays, I think they have some other stuff too. But just something like this is huge. Is it here? There's somewhere in here. I don't know. Is it this one? Yes, this is it right here. Right here, it says include buffers on this calendar. I haven't turned that on yet, but that's kind of interesting because I think you can actually put the buffers then in there. If you have like 15-minute buffers, you can actually like kind of show that. I don't really run my calendar wall to wall like that so much with these meetings yet, so that is fine. But that's kind of interesting. And then just a couple other settings here, like quality of life things like declining, and deleting and all that sort of stuff. So again, some of these other platforms might have that, but I wanted to kind of start with the Calendly setup there because I think there's a lot of interesting pieces to go there. Other than that, let's see if there's anything in the chat. Not much. Have I considered Carrier Pigeon? I did consider it for a second, but then I realized that was silly. So, we could try that. We could definitely try again because I don't know. Sometimes it gets taxing, looking at the screen. I'd rather just like, pet a pigeon and send them off. That probably would be kind of nicer in certain instances. Okay. Anyway, Calendly, there's Calendly. I'm going to go over to cal.com because I feel like it's super similar. It's unbelievably similar. I was playing around with this. I think I got a recommendation potentially from Brennan as well. And I was playing around with this and I was just like, there's just things in here again with my niche problems that I couldn't get past. At a high level on this one, I feel like there's a lot more flexibility in certain cases. Like there's like insights and all sorts of other stuff that you could do. I think there's probably like a lot of things that you could, is it apps maybe? Like there's probably a ton of different things that you can add in, and, whatever. Like do a bunch of stuff for that I've never played around with. But considering that, I would definitely consider cal.com. I'm just gonna look at some of the standard things here though. So like also the other thing that I didn't talk about too, this is like a secret meeting or like a hidden meeting. So if you go to like your main page, then you wouldn't see anything that's secret. It just gives you kind of like the option to kind of segment things out, and you can have, for instance, if they go to the main page and they could see, maybe all your consulting offerings, but all of your other like colleague meetings and, other things like that are kind of just not directly accessible from that. So that's like one piece of it. But again, my vibe here is that this is cool. It's a little cleaner in certain ways, but there's definitely things missing that I don't really, it's like availability. This just seems like super barren to me. I'm not seeing I'm going to look for the big features. Obviously, the buffers are there. If we turn this stuff on, also, this is like kind of annoying that I have to turn all these on and then see all this. Like, what the hell? Booking frequency. Okay, cool. This is amazing. Okay, I'm gonna give credit where credit is due. These types of things are dope, where you can show only the first slot of each day is available. Again, most of this stuff maybe you could do on your own, so to speak, or with other tooling, but in the UI is great. So show the first slot of each day available, so limit only. This is cool. I actually wish, because I heard this come up as well. I should probably move my face back to the other side. This is cool. The other thing though that I would say is it would be actually really cool if you could do it the opposite way. If you could do only the last slot of each day as well. So I think the way this works is like if you have 9 to 5 open, then they can only book at 9, and then once that's booked, they can only book at 9:30 and then only 10 and so on. And I think it would be really cool if you could do it the other way too. I feel like that would be a relatively simple thing to kind of create. I think that's what I heard. Only book the last of the day. So it's like the last one of the day. So it's like you can end on all that sort of stuff. For me, I'm like way better and way more productive in the morning. So for me, that's like, I don't want to sacrifice that time with meetings because I'll turn it on for like a meeting. But if the meeting is in like the back half of the day, that's just something that's kind of interesting. I definitely heard that from potentially Nick Sarayev recently. If you guys haven't seen him, go check his shit out. But he was like quoting like something that Alex Hormozy said. So I think the last slot of the day, method there would be kind of cool as well. Limit total booking duration, 60 minutes per day. That's kind of an interesting one. Limit future bookings. events. Okay, that's pretty standard. Offset start times. Yeah. Um, okay. Interesting. Nothing super duper groundbreaking there. So Google Calendar, secret meeting. Oh, that's the other thing too, is like just I didn't even go over all this shit in Calendly, but the amount of like workflows and extra things you can do there with the calendar events. Use add to calendar and email as the organizer. There's some interesting shit here going on. Like we'll display the email address from your add to calendar. Yeah. I think you would probably want to turn this on. Again, I haven't really used this too much, but you probably want to turn that on because you want to make sure that like when you're I was having this trouble with Laypoint. When you add your event into the calendar, it's really like you're just sending an invite. So you want to make sure that in the actual invite it shows your user there and it shows their user. So you can both know about that invite. There's some platforms I feel like that just make a calendar event but they don't invite you. So if the other person would ever like delete it or decline it or whatever, you don't know. So that's pretty bad. So that's interesting. We got all these different things here, toggle calendars. I don't think I can do this. Maybe event type, using event type settings. Interesting. Layouts. Okay, that's kind of cool. So month, week, column. And obviously all this is like global settings and you can override. So yeah, there's definitely some stuff here. I would say if you're really into the UI of this, if you're into, again, I believe this is open source, right? If you're into everything here, then this is probably this is a decent one, but I still don't see those settings that I personally needed. So something to be cognizant of there. Short answer. This is a lot of fields. This is a shit ton of fields, actually. Different types of fields. This is cool. Multiple emails. That's pretty cool. Yeah, this is pretty impressive. I like that. All those different options there. Requires confirmation. So booked. This part is pretty nice. Only require. Okay. This is pretty nice. Yeah. If I didn't have such niche requirements, I might be using cal.com. Require booking email, hide notes in calendar. Okay. Does any of this do anything? Okay. Redirect on booking. Interesting. Private links. Okay. Offer seats. Wow. I don't even think I'm paying for this. This is pretty cool. There's like a lot of stuff here. I don't know if you get actually access to all this though, or maybe it's just amount of meetings. Allow rescheduling past events, event color type. Interesting. Okay, lots there. Recurring meetings. Okay, this is experimental, and I know as well. Like just going back to it, Latepoint just is doing recurring meetings now as well. People can subscribe using recurring meetings every 1 week for maximum 12 months. Okay, pretty straightforward. I haven't needed recurring meetings, so I don't have a specific use case with that. Then we got our apps here again. So you can. This is a lot of shit actually. Interesting. Okay. Oh, and there's workflows here. Create a workflow real quick. What can we see here? Before the event starts, send out to all different things here. You can add more. Man, maybe if Cal just adds a couple features that I need. Can you do what I need here? I don't think so. That's that's actually upsetting because this is pretty sick. I would consider this one. If you don't have the weird niche things, I would consider cal.com if you appreciate it more than Calendly and you want to be a little different. Is there, let me see here. Can I go this? Is this going to work? I mean, it's clean. You know what I mean? It's pretty dope. You can do this thing. This is right here. I don't know who had it first, but this is the Savvy Cal right here. That's what this is. This is the Savvy Cal look. When we get to that, it's the exact same thing. Column view as well. This is, I think, the default for Google is like this. That's a lot. Yeah, this is basically the exact same thing in some ways. So I don't know. I always just like this one. I thought this was the easiest to kind of really comprehend. But it's cool if you can overlay your own calendar, but I feel like you have to sign in or do something to do that, obviously. Um, so yeah, I don't know. Pretty cool. I would say this is a leading contender for me if I was trying to get some standard stuff. If I didn't have the requirements, which I'll have to double check because I this is pretty sick. But but yeah, Cal.com is pretty cool. If anybody has any questions specifically on that, we can come back to it. But let's go over here and let's get rid of the last of the what I would call SaaS apps. And Matt Medeiros' favorite one. I'm gonna have to sign up for this though, real quick. Hopefully, this works well. Let me see here. Just do this. Okay, can't type. What is going on? All right, there we go. Random thought while I'm typing this in, and you're hearing all my clacking because this is a typist keyboard. Um, do you guys ever log in and sign up with Google? Because I absolutely don't do that. Like I try to not do that as much as possible. I mean, you do have to like, sign in with your thing, but there's like regular style, right? Some people have magic links. Some people sign in, with like I don't know if that's single sign on or whatever the hell it's actually called with Google and Outlook or whatever. And now there's like pass keys too, which is like I'm sure they're not all exactly the same. But just as a random aside, I've had issues sometimes where I changed my email address, my domain. So I had to go in to different platforms. I can't remember which ones. It's funny we're talking about this while we're talking about Calendly because they're one of the only ones that like let you kind of like change that and fix it on your own if you're still logged in. And yeah, it was just a nightmare. So I just generally don't do that. Um I probably have a weird, phobia of that, I guess, to some degree. But yeah, it's a weird thing there. Okay. All right. I think we're goodish here, I guess. We'll see. All right, cool. All right, so here we go. How did you hear about this? The WordPress Podfather, Matt Medeiros. How do I spell? Is it I before E after C? It's like that, right? Right? Matt, where are you, Matt? No, no, I'm pretty sure it's EI, right? Sorry about that, Matt. I'm not the greatest speller. How do you plan on using SavvyCal? I don't really have a strict team yet. King in the castle, I guess. I'm a founder, whatever. How do you accomplish? I don't, bro. I don't know. Charge for my time. Yeah, we like to charge for our time, I guess. Connect your calendars. Can I not do that right now? Wire up video. Okay, real quick, right off the bat, I've never heard of Whereby. Maybe Squadcast. I've heard of that. Zoom. I've heard of that. Where is the Google Meet? I mean, maybe it's because I didn't add Google Meet. I guess is that the reason? Still kind of weird that they don't show it. But I'm assuming it does obviously work with it because it said it, and that's fine. Cool. All right, let's take a look here real quick at SavvyCal. Okay, obviously I've never done this, so I don't know what we're doing here, but I do kind of want to see if there's any of this specific stuff. What is schedule meetings, allow you to share your availability, book your calendar, chat with Mark. Okay, is that like any? Oop, is that anything? Welcome to the link editor. Jesus Christ, this is intense. All right, so this is okay. So this is a meeting type, I guess, basically event type, whatever they call it. I think we need to activate before we do it, but let's look at the thing. So multi-use or single use, that's interesting. One-on-one collective round robin. Oh, there was another thing. I know I'm randomly interjecting things in here. There was another thing, another piece that I don't think Calendly can do, but I'm wondering if other ones can do. There are these different event types where, in this case, one scheduler with one organizer, optionally factor in availability for more guests. I had a situation, a colleague of mine has a situation where they both have Calendly. This is unbelievable that you can't do this. They both have Calendly. So they have their own businesses. They're like, freelance agency type things, right? They have their own businesses, but they work together. So one of them's like SEO, one of them is web design as an example, right? So they work together and they're working on the same project, the same client. What they wanted to do was they wanted to send a Calendly link, a schedule link out that had both of their things on it, like both of their schedules. So like if I'm busy at like Thursday 3 and 4 and my associate, I'm free at 2, but my associate isn't, then we have all of those times blocked off. So the client could just pick something that works for both of us. That is not possible in Calendly unless you have a team plan, but that ruins the point there. It's like I feel like, because you can't, this is two separate things, two separate businesses, two separate installs. So maybe there's more of a, there's probably a different type, but it doesn't work straight up, and I don't even think they have it in that format at all. So I'm wondering if like SavvyCal has it. So round robin, one scheduler routed to an organizer in the round robin. See, that's not it, because you want everyone still to be there. Multiple schedulers with one organizer. Nobody has this. One scheduler with one. Yeah, nobody has this. I don't think. I don't think anybody has what I'm talking about, because it's the complete opposite of group. It's 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 like group is, you want to have, you want to have I mean, maybe you could play around and make group work, perhaps. If like one person, I don't know, I'd have to think about it, but it's a little outside the scope of this. But it's just another thing that like you might want to consider, you might want to run into, or might run into, is I'd have to look into group. But the point is, again, it's like multiple organizers and one scheduler is the concept that I'm thinking of, and I'm not sure if group would handle that because it's billed as the opposite. So something to consider. But yeah, all right. So this one is one. Cameron, what's up? Oh, hi, Mark. Love that. I use TidyCal. It's an AppSumo thing. I've heard of TidyCal, have not used it. I believe Brendan O'Connell, if he's still in the chat, uses it or has used it. I'm sure a lot of people have because I've seen it before. Not on today's list, but I am interested in seeing what it has to offer. I thought it was kind of like a lighter weight solution, but I could be wrong. If we're just joining, there's a ridiculous amount of weird things that I had to go through to get certain meeting types booked. So, Calendly ended up being the one for me, but there's a lot of different, these ones all have value. So I'm just trying to kind of get a high level here. So work hours. Okay, cool. Buffer, minimum notice, night like that, starting increments, how far people can book, limit scheduling frequency, limit by date range. I'm not seeing anything, to Matt Medeiros' dismay here. I am not seeing anything that's super crazy yet. Again, do I have access to all the features? I want to try to be fair. I don't know if this is just a free trial thing, but calendar invites, organizer, and scheduler. Okay. You can customize that. That's cool. Include name of scheduler, include this. Again, probably good for most people as well. Always gather phone number, show checkbox for opting in marketing communications. That's a nice feature. It's a nice feature. You can add more here. Not too many field types, not as many as Cal, but that's cool. Required. I like that. Branding. I like that you can change that. I don't think you can change branding on. You can do this stupid thing where you can change these colors. It doesn't mean anything. It doesn't make any sense. But I don't think you can change branding color on. No, you might be able to. Might be able to. I don't know where the hell that would be though. Yeah, I don't know where it's at. But you can have an accent color, which is kind of cool. Banner image. Okay, it's nice. Week, rolling, month view. Okay, is this the week? Yeah, I don't know. Organizer's name, allow guests, rescheduling, cancellation, also reject free email addresses. That's nice. Yeah, actually reject them. That's a nice feature. Require approval, redirect custom URL. Okay, this is, yeah. I'm trying to see though if I could actually use this with what I was talking about earlier. I don't think I can. I don't see a way to do what I was trying to do. Or that I can do with Calendly, which is extremely weird for sure. Location, I was going to say, oh, you have to add location. Oh, you add location based off of person? Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. Can't be blank. H. That's weird to me. Availability, work hours. simple, ranked, optimized, choose single. You know, again, as I was saying on the top, these are obviously what I would call like Gen 1 schedulers, okay? I mean, there's I was so debating on whether to go into like this whole shit that I get marketed for all the time, Motion, which I think seems like an interesting thing, like AI scheduling where you can, well, there's two forms of it, right? There's like SaaS AI scheduling, I feel like, where it's like all built in, and then there's other things where you could make your own, you know, almost like chat bots to like fill in your stuff and things like that, or voice bots or whatever. And we're not there yet. So this is just version one. But as I'm looking at some of this stuff, I'm thinking like there's probably a lot more that you could do if you really wanted to ramp it up. So that's something kind of interesting. Um, Tarek, what's up, brother? Appreciate you being here. Thank you so much for stopping by. Cameron says it's not quite as fleshed out as polished as Calendly or some of the other ones, but it does everything I need for now and being lifetime deal. Yeah, 100%, 100%. Sweet. All good, Derek. Appreciate you being here, man. Have fun at that one. Yeah. So let's see here. The thing with the location again is like some of those ones where I'm doing those events, like those meeting in person events, it's going to be tough because I don't see the settings that I need for this. I don't see like the overriding based on a word or a title, which is incredible with Calendly. And I also don't see where is the I don't see anything about time zone. Yeah, I don't see anything about time zone in here. I don't know, man. Matt Medeiros. I mean, this is fine. It's obviously a fine scheduling tool. I'm just saying there's like things in here that I don't fully see. I don't fully understand. If there's a link for a specific recipient, you can pre-fill. That's kind of a cool thing, I guess. You can just like pre-fill it. Okay. Is there anything else cool in here? Let's see. Book a test meeting, upgrade, no. Scheduling links. So these are the links, basically event types, meeting polls. It is cool you have some of this in there, but I think like a Calendly and other ones have that as well. Workflows, availability. I'm still not seeing the damn. I don't see a. Oh, this is interesting. Time blocking. That's cool that you don't have to have a calendar, I guess. You can do time block. Where is I'm not seeing like a time zone situation anywhere. I mean, obviously it's getting, I mean, this is the time zone, yes. But like can we not lock? That's a big deal. Like that's a really big deal. Because even if you, it might have it. I've looked at this for 10 minutes. But even if you don't have this situation where I'm like going to an event and somebody else is going to an event, I want to lock it to that one. Even if it's an in-person event, you definitely want to lock the time zone. If somebody's just like happens to be traveling from somewhere else, you don't want to like make it for any in-person event, you want to lock it. And I'm not seeing that anywhere. I'm also not seeing it. Oh, time zone schedule a time zone change. That's cool. But I don't know what that means. Like schedule a time zone change, okay. But then is that just for me? Because if I like put on a VPN right now and I went to the scheduling link, is it going to say Eastern or is it going to say the other one? That's kind of the entire point. I don't know. I'm not sure. Again, as an overall, seems pretty decent. But some things that I would like to see. Analytics is kind of cool. I'm not really sure how much other ones have. Contacts starts to get really confusing. And I'll throw this in here real quick, and then I'll jump back into it. Another thing that I'm dealing with is I have two main like lines of business. I have media stuff and I have the agency service stuff, and it's like I got to make sure that I keep everybody like, you know, obviously separate, which is fine. They're different like accounts and everything, but I'm trying to think of like what's the best way to manage the contacts, manage the CRM portion of it, manage the scheduling. And right now it's kind of a mixture of like Google and then also Notion for some of the what I would call like the deal tracking. But the problem is Google doesn't really have like a good CRM system. I mean, there's probably like, obviously um, extensions and stuff that you could get for sure. But I've tried HubSpot in the past. I am not going back there because when I scale to the point that I need to get more, I'm absolutely not paying whatever the hell they charge. So there's all that. And then the other thing is, you know, just like like Google Contacts is cool, and I could, you can like sync those with different things. But again, just the reason I'm talking about this is because in SavvyCal there was the contacts thing. It's like, that's nice. I know what that's for. It's for the people that are scheduling the meetings, but I want everything to be cohesive and like in the same place. So yeah, I don't know. Again, a recap level here. Let's talk about that. Recap level for Google, the meeting scheduler, Calendly, Cal.com, and SavvyCal. All what I would call like more SaaS based type things. They're outside the scope of WordPress. I'm sure they all have embeddable. This is the only one that I definitely don't know about, but I'm sure there's a way to embed this somehow or something. Maybe, maybe not. At minimum, you have like a link anyway, so it doesn't really matter. That is actually a good question, though. Is there no way to embed this? Because I'm not seeing like a way off the rip to do that. Maybe there is, maybe there isn't. Not sure. Maybe you have to activate. I don't know. You know what? Honestly, I don't know, because every single time, again, like I said, when I get these SavvyCal links, every time I get these SavvyCal links, I get a link like this, and then is this gonna work? And then this is how it always looks right here. It always has this thing. I know you can change it, and I was always wondering like what happens when you make it when you're on like mobile or whatever. But my point is that I'm wondering if you can't embed it, or they don't want, like, that's not like a concern that much, because it's always something that's like a weird full blown experience when you do this. So yeah, not sure on that one. Maybe somebody knows in the chat, but what's up? What's up? Late arrival, all good. Have you tried Amelia? I have not tried Amelia. I've heard things about Amelia. Maybe in a future one. I just don't have it, so I couldn't kind of look at it. Mic seems to be cutting out unless it's on my end. I hope it's not. This is a brand new mic. Damn, that's not good. Every 5 words. Shit, really? That's rough. Yuck. How about now? Is it any good? Bad? Worse? Better? Kind of weird. I don't know. Yeah, let me know if it's any good. Look at my audio here real quick. Yeah, I haven't changed anything, so I don't know. Yeah, let me know how bad it is. Don't know what happened there. Okay. I'm going to assume it's okay. Maybe not. I don't know. We shall see. Anywho, SavvyCal is decent, seems like. Cal.com, Mike's good. Awesome. Sweet. Appreciate that. So SavvyCal, Cal.com, Calendly, and Google Calendar, all decent options. I would say that, again, in my case, Calendly is the one because of my crazy requirements, but I feel like most of them have very similar things. The biggest question that I think you have to ask yourself is, I wonder if like switching scenes had anything to do with that. It's more than in and out. I'll leave and come back. Okay, cool. All right. Well, yeah, let me know what's going on there. I don't know. I could probably check on my phone though, just to see. But yeah, for this and everything, I would say that, again, Calendly is my one that I'm going to right now. If you don't have the crazy requirements, you don't need to, maybe you don't need to do that. Maybe you could try a different one. I could probably check on my phone just to see. Sounds okay on my end. So let me know. But yeah. And those are the SaaS ones. If you're interested in a SaaS solution, then I would check out, in that order, honestly, I would go, if you're a Google customer, I would look at Google, and then I would probably look into Calendly because it's like the one. But Cal.com is strong in a lot of those different sort of integration areas. And then SavvyCal seems like it's a good solution as well. Pricing wise, I'm going to have to assume most of these are all pretty similar. And I don't know if I can get to that right this second. So yeah, but there's links to all of them in the description, so check those out. The bigger thing that I want to talk about here is kind of like part two of this, I want to bring up my Notion a little bit because I want to make sure that I am talking about all the different things that I was thinking about as I was coming up with all this. Yeah, I think right now is a good time. Now is a good time to go over this Notion really quickly that I will show on the screen here in a second. And these are all the things that I was thinking about. Some of this is probably obviously we talked about it already, but I'm going to talk about all this and then we're going to go into the WordPress stuff because this is the reason that I wanted to talk about this initially because there's the SaaS ones and then there's the WordPress ones. And if we're in WordPress, land, most of us, then we might be tempted to go that way. And in some cases it does make sense, but in other cases it's like, there's just pros and cons that you have to weigh on your end. So Reborn sounds good. Awesome, awesome. Sweet, sweet, sweet. Yes, if you're traveling and moving time zones. Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. I just, like I said, I have this very particular use case where me and the guest we're scheduling for a time zone that we're not currently in. And that's like super wild. So I don't want to just lock the thing to to like my time zone. I want to, or their time zone. I want to lock it to a specific time zone and Calendly has that. So that's why I have that thought there. Okay. So let me go over to actually let me do it. Let me do this a little differently here. We'll just get rid of this. We'll come into our Notion. I know you can't see this right now. Any of you guys use Notion, by the way? Because I started using it not too long ago and I knew what was going to happen when it happened and I got hooked. Yeah, I got hooked. I didn't want to use it because I knew I was going to go crazy with it, and I got hooked. I haven't gone super crazy with it, but it is there's so much power in it. It's like I need to stay off of it because if I will get absolutely addicted if I try to like super kind of like make everything efficient, everything go crazy with the automations. So yeah, it's concerning. All right, so I had some notes here, and these notes have lived in here for a while now because I was like trying to do a bunch of different things at the time, like I said, and I'm just going to run through these real quick, and then we're going to talk about Late Point, Fluent Booking, and Jet Appointment. And I'm interested to talk about Jet Appointment. I have not touched Jet Appointment for a very long time, and I like a lot of the concepts there. I'm just wondering what the feature set is like. And then Late Point, I'm very familiar with, and Fluent Booking, I also haven't seen in a while. So we're going to try to rapid fire the last hour or so of this here. Okay, so if you guys have any specific questions on any of those, let me know. Or if you want to see more stuff in the future, let me know that too. Okay, so just real quick, I was using Calendly at this time. My issues were lack of multiple durations for a single event. These are the types of shit that like I totally forgot about because it is really annoying, but it's just like something I've come to know. This is so stupid. I don't understand why we can't have in Calendly, and maybe some of the other ones, multiple durations for the same event. If I have consulting, like a consulting call that I want to have that to charge, whatever for, I want to have multiple durations. I don't want to have multiple like instances of it. So it's the same event at the core of it, but you can pick your time and you can pick your and the time has different costs associated with it, right? That is one of the big reasons I moved over to Late Point at first because it's beautiful in that regard. It's built for that. Calendly, not really built for it. The other ones, I didn't really check because I didn't remember that, but also doesn't really seem built for it. They're like independent meeting type things. The next one is lack of WP integration. I talked about that. The embed is ass on a lot of them. Like it doesn't conform with the screen and everything. That's another reason I was looking at Late Point, looking at Fluent Booking. Fluent Booking, when we get to it, it's like a clone of Calendly and everything. It's just in WordPress, so the user experience is generally better. Lack of integration with Bento. That's a me thing. I use Bento for the email marketing side of things. So in certain cases, I'd want that information to go in there. I could probably make that happen. So that's not really that big of a deal. But again, it's not in the UI. Lack of QuickBooks payment integration. I don't know if any of you guys use that, but I use Stripe a lot more now. But for the main part of my agency business, I've used QuickBooks Payments because I use QuickBooks to manage the bookkeeping. And QuickBooks Payments is like really pretty slick. It's about the same price as Stripe or whatever as far as transaction fees. There is a if you can see it, you can see it in some of my client portal content. You can see that there is a plugin that you can use for WordPress. It's like a payment processor. It's a QuickBooks payment processor. And you can just run transactions through there. There's benefits to that because then you get all the financial data like into your QuickBooks. So let's say that you spend or somebody pays you $1,000, you know that like it's $1,000 and then it's like $30 for the transaction fee effectively. So it comes in as like, well, just easy numbers. It comes in as a charge, like a I don't know, debit or credit, I don't know. The one that's coming in, okay? You're like getting a positive transaction of 970, but you're also getting a negative transaction of 30. If you care about all the shit that you're spending, like how much money you're paying in transaction fees and things, it's cool just because it logs both. The opposite would be that Stripe, you're gonna have to do that at the end of the year and be like, how much money did I lose in transaction fees? Because your books aren't gonna know that. So just a random little thing there that I wanted to throw in, but it doesn't have that. It doesn't have QuickBooks Payments as an option as a payment processor. So that's a little unfortunate. I've been using Stripe. And then there's subscription model pricing. Obviously, we all love LTDs. We love only paying for things once. It's not really that sustainable, but we all love doing that. And it's a little annoying that I have to pay for Calendly because I do have an LTD for LatePoint. I have an LTD for Fluent Booking. I have an LTD for Jet Engine and Jet Appointment. But it's just what I've seen, and maybe we'll find more. Just those requirements that I had, I couldn't do it. My use case here, one main event type with multiple durations and pricing, need to sync with all my calendars, write to my MJS calendar, nicely embed good UX, questions when booking, create meeting link, take payment in Stripe, ideally QuickBooks, and then add them to my bento list. It's really not that complex, but there are those little things in there that, especially as I found moving forward, that's why I ended up back at Calendly. Follow-up email, with a workflow. The holiday thing is huge. Again, like I was talking about earlier, that it's unbelievably huge. Late book feedback. There was some accessibility issues. Team has fixed a lot of that. So a lot of this is old. Buffers, earliest appointment, last appointment, overrides. I think there's buffers. The thing that you'll find with LatePoint as we go through it is there's a lot of different settings. There's a lot of things in different areas. It's very powerful, but again, it's the best thing I've found for like service-based businesses that have multiple agents, multiple services, in person, like those types of things. Very good for it. Could do other stuff, but that's where it shines. Holidays doesn't have the holiday thing last time I checked. Reordering services, I'm giving you more of the LatePoint stuff here just because I was deep into this for a little bit. We can talk more about this. Cancellation policy, privacy policy, booking questions, hard to manage. That is true. Durations aren't visible on a single duration services. Don't know about that. Can't remember. Send email from custom email addresses. That's another big thing too, is like with these SaaS apps, you're connecting to Google directly. You're able to send it out. The reason I've put this stuff right in the middle of these two worlds is because SaaS versus on your WordPress website, way different. Like you're managing everything. You have to utilize either your, SMTP thing or the WP like email senders thing. It's like, it's just different, obviously, and we all know the pros and cons of all that and everything. So LP update, no sign of this, like my personal Gmail, like in there. It's like weird. I can't remember what that was. Invites to meeting, invites have the meeting link. Oh yeah. So like I want to have the meeting link in the location thing, obviously. Calendar invite needs to get added. There was some weird stuff going on with calendar invites. I'm pretty sure they fixed that though. And then workflows have to send I was having some cron issues with the workflow sending, and then emails from the actual email addresses. That's a me problem. Yeah. Yeah. Cause again, like you have to manage your SMTP properly. So a lot of stuff there. Let's dive into the WordPress side. Why don't we? Do we want to start with LatePoint perhaps? I think we should start with LatePoint because it's the one I'm most familiar with. And then we'll kind of just go through the rest of these here. So again, we have LatePoint, we have Fluent Booking, we have Jet Appointment. Links are in the descriptions. Let's go over to WordPress now and play around with this. So let me slide this over here and take a look at this. Okay, cool. All right, so I have a few of these all set up here. I'm going to activate LatePoint right now. Also, these are LatePoint and Fluent Booking have free versions. I also have the pro version. I don't have them on here just yet. I could get them and I could put them on here depending on what we see inside of here. So let's take a look at LatePoint free just to start, because I do like to kind of start with the free stuff, just to kind of get a view. Already you can kind of see this is way more intense. We're in a WordPress environment. There's a lot of shit going on here. It's impressive, right? I want to show you again, from my perspective, the things that are vastly different and have consequence kind of because of that. Um, this is the dashboard. There's the calendar. There's like appointments. We'll go through all this sort of stuff. There's payments. There's I'm gonna give you my interpretation of LatePoint from everything I know about it. It was built for service-based businesses. It was built to take payments. It was built to have like its own little kind of like customer. There's literally a customer cabinet that happens when you install it, like it's its own page, its own area in WordPress. This is what it's meant for. I would really recommend if on your use case, if you're building a site for a client and you need to schedule a lot of appointments for, again, like hair salons, potentially like different landscaping type services. Like I said earlier, golf bays. I've seen that. Like there's a lot of really interesting stuff. I might actually bring up that golf bay one because that's a really good use case example, and I'm not going to be able to build the whole thing right now. So that's kind of something to consider. But so you have your services. We'll go through that. You have your agents. The agents concept is very weird. Like it's very it's not weird, but it's way different than like a Calendly. You can have users in those, but it doesn't revolve around it. This really does revolve around it. You have to like set your calendar as an agent. You have to set your working hours and everything as the agent. It makes sense in this context. It just doesn't make sense for uh depending on what type of use case you're after. Locations, okay, premium version. We're gonna have to upload to that, but let's just look at the free stuff. Okay, so the coupons are also in there. Settings. This is again the thing is like if there's some feedback to be offered, there's a lot of different settings in a lot of different places, and some of the things are global, and some of the things are more service based. But the problem is when you hop into LatePoint, you are going to, if you're coming from a Calendly, you're going to be thinking in like terms of meeting links and event types. But now you have to switch your entire thinking to services and agents. And it's just a learning curve. It's not necessarily a bad thing, but it is very different because that's how it really revolves around. Everything revolves around that. So if your schedule, and again, these are like global settings. So, like, and then you have the booking form, right? Now, I'll show you a full working example of that on a different website. But now they have Stripe Connect and you can do all that sort of stuff. This is what I was talking about with the email processors, the default thing. You can do like SMS processing, WhatsApp processing, and then rules. Okay. That's also workflows. Okay. Interesting. Workflows is not in the pro version. So automation here. This is another thing where it's like this is tough to wrap your mind around sometimes. All of the workflows are over here, and you have to, like, by default they trigger globally. So then you have to say like service or agent or status is equal to whatever, and you have to kind of like trigger it that way. Um, you can send these email templates and everything like that. It's relatively straightforward-ish. I mean, you can send SMS, you can send WhatsApp, so there's some cool things there. I'm trying to think of like very new things. I don't know if the recurring ones are out yet. Bundles are pro, categories, service extras. Okay, I'm gonna have to add the thing in there. This is a really weird one. So the form fields are like totally separate. Which again is cool in a way, that you can just kind of be like, okay, like let me add a custom. Oh, okay. Apparently that's also a paid version. We'll do that in a second. But like you can add these custom things, but you have to manage them kind of globally from over here. So it's something that's also kind of interesting. All right, let me log into here, or let me get my license thing working here. Where's this at? So you would come over to. Can I do it from in here? Maybe. I thought I could. Let's see. I was almost certain that I could. Let's see what this does. Okay, I already have it though. I thought for sure it was in here. Maybe I just upload it. Hang on a second. Let me do this. Let me pull this over here. And let me just go back to WordPress. Actually, probably do it like this. Let's go plugins, add new plugin. And late point. Please work. They changed it recently. The other thing about late point is they recently got into the plugin repo, so you can get it for free now. Like there's the free version that didn't exist before. And I've had it for such a long time that like, you know, I actually got it in Code Canyon like a long time ago, and then I got upgraded to was it the 5.0 update, I think, and then I got upgraded to a 100 site license, so I have 100 sites for late point as an LTD, and yeah, like I said, it's just I've had it for such a long time. I've seen it like literally grow from the very infancy days. It's taking a long time to upload this. Hang on. What is happening? I have like 10 sites on this development server and it's being kind of slow. Although they don't get any traffic, they just sit there. Okay, hang on a sec. Okay, we're good. All right, so late point. Wait, what? How do you upgrade this damn thing? This is weird. Hold on a second. I have it downloaded. It's like you have to, this is actually kind of strange. I've never done this because I've had it on other websites and before it happened. So let me try to just do this real quick off screen. What I'm trying to do here is it literally says update. So maybe a little bit of feedback. It literally says update and then it takes me to update, but I'm not logged in. So I have to go log in because it's on a different Chrome profile. So I have to do this, and I know you can't see it. So let me try to log in on the same profile. Whatever. Okay. So now I'm logged in, but I don't know how to actually, I downloaded it. It's whack. Where did my thing go? Demo schedulers. Oop, there we go. This is a blank site. Dude. Killing me. This is actually hilarious. I mean, because if I download it from the back end of LatePoint, it's literally the same version. So, not really sure. Do I need the pro add-ons? Do I need to do that? Is there pro add-ons? We could make this easier. Let me see something here. LatePoint. Yeah, I genuinely don't know. There's got to be a place in here, right? There's got to be a place in here. Let's look one more time. There's got to be a place in here to update this. Where do I put my license in? Wait. Okay. Dude, why do we keep going here? I just want to update it. We might not be doing any more LatePoint right now because I literally don't know how to do this. That's unbelievable. We need to work on that. Okay, well we're gonna skip LatePoint then, because there's a lot of interesting things you can do there. Actually, real quick, let's go back to it because I want to do it a little bit of due diligence here. Where is it at? Okay, this is annoying. All right, so for real quick though, like services, so you can add a service. Obviously, you can add service name. This is like adding your meeting type, but you're not really. It's not a meeting type. It's a service, right? So then you're coming down here and you have similar things. Like again, the cool thing is you can have multiple durations and prices. Again, apparently not in the free version, and I can't get to the pro version right now, so that's weird. But yeah, there's a lot of different options down here, and just there's there's some tough pieces to it because you have to, again, you have to think about agent and service. And if it's just you as the agent, that's fine. But there's pieces of it that are specific to the agent. Again, like it just takes a different approach. It's a lot of stuff is done at the agent level in a way. And then again, with like locations and things like that, um, the best way to me to show you is kind of just give you an example with what's it called? That golf one that I was talking about there. So let me do that real quick. Oops. There we go. Okay. Let me show you this here. So this is one of my first things that I saw was Late Point. Okay, there's a lot of pop-ups on this. Jesus Christ. All right, so if you come over to like upgrade to a Top Tracer Bay or whatever, it doesn't really matter. This is a Late Point thing. I'm almost 95% positive they haven't changed this. So I'll just kind of walk you through like these would be services. So in Late Point they would have had Top Tracer Bay peak hours or non-peak hours. I'm not even sure if they did this the best way possible, but this is one example of Late Point. So you have this, and then you have more services, basically, kind of like, is this, maybe they're using this as, no, these might be services. These might be, one of these is locations, I think. Maybe these are agents, actually. These might be agents. And then there's services within those. So these are what, like again, they're really changing it up. The way that they're doing here is the point that I'm trying to make is Late Point is powerful, but if you want to do a very specific thing, you're going to have to kind of like manipulate the structure of it because, it is good for these types of things, but that's kind of what I've noticed. So you have left, middle, right here, whatever. I don't know exactly why they did it like this, but you can have multiple things here and how many people. And is there another, do they use it somewhere else? They had like more stuff before. It was like kind of, there was just like a lot of different pieces to this that I remember where you had like, again, like different agents and things like that. But honestly, even on the main website here, you like, this is a good example too. Like, and this is the reason, look at this, like this is the example, and the example has services, right? And then it has agents. So in this case, like stylists or whatever for this haircut thing. And then you find like when you're going to go and all that sort of stuff. And then you have all this stuff in here, right? So, it's kind of interesting. It's really, really, really good for that. If you have a use case that falls right in here, very, very good. You can collect the payments. You can do all that sort of stuff. You can send the reminder emails. Yeah. So I would highly recommend Late Point if that's exactly what you're looking for, because that's probably one of the best, especially in WordPress, because then it's going to, conform to the actual pages you're building and everything like that, not just a silly embed like some of the other ones. So that's something that I would definitely consider. A couple questions in here or thoughts. Reborn used Notion for school and first year business, went back to OneNote because I'm yeah. I think I started. I wanted Notion, so the free version is like decent, and then I wanted Notion I wanted to do some automation. So like when I moved a piece of content to published or something like that, then the deal would get published, something like that for the media side of things. And I was like, I have to pay for the automation. And I think it was like, $12 a month or something like that. And then at some point I was like, I'm not even utilizing this, and I can't do what I want to do. So I think there's a free version, right? I think I'm not paying for it. But if you want to do more stuff and if you want to have like teams and shit, I don't have any additional users. So yeah, obviously there's a lot there. EV Tech, what's up? What's up? What is the SO plugin you suggest for Google Knowledge Panel? It's kind of a tough question. I mean, the plugin that I use for SEO is Rank Math SEO. It's just the one. This is my blueprint site. That's the one that I use for every site that I build right now. It's not, I mean, I know why you're asking that question, probably because you watched the Google Knowledge Panel video that I made, which I appreciate that. I wouldn't really say that this is like the main thing that you need for that. I think you should obviously have like an SEO plugin, and you should set it up and everything, and make sure you have good stuff. This is also a demo site, so there's just like nothing really here. But it's a part of it, but I don't know if it's like the main I wouldn't say it's the main part of it. I'm gonna tell you straight up, like kind of as I kind of allude to in that video, the only way, the real way that you get this is you. I mean, there's probably some external factors. One, my name is, I guess, possibly a little bit unique or whatever. Um, all of my profiles are all the same thing. Like they're all Mark J. Szymanski. It'd be very easy for you to like look at this and be like, oh, this is all the same guy. Everything is like on the up and up and everything like that. And then the other thing is have like a website. Again, your website's got to match all that sort of stuff too, or be very similar. I think the other big thing they're looking for is like pictures and not really pictures, but like posts on those accounts because everything is they're looking I feel like the robot, if it's a robot or people, they're looking for credibility. They're looking for consistency. So as long as your shit is consistent, like if you type in my name, my website is pretty consistent, my YouTube is consistent. Like all of this stuff is being loaded from the channels that I'm putting up. Like I'm putting constant content out. Really, again, the big thing, I don't know if I mentioned it or made it clear enough in that video. It's volume of content. You know what I mean? It's the amount of stuff that you're putting out in uh in tandem with you having a um like a personal brand or an actual brand that is unique to some degree. Again, I'm lucky there's not like 16 other Mark Szymanskis trying to do a bunch of shit like this, so that's beneficial. But that's the high level. So I mean, I try to say all that because I don't think that this is the make or break part of this. I think that this is a piece of it, and you should want to have like your website be on the up and up as far as SEO and all that type of shit is concerned. Like make sure your links are all good and everything. But that would be kind of my main way to answer that question. All I'm saying is I don't think Rank Math SEO made or broke this situation. I don't think it was like the main reason. I think it was because I've just been putting out content consistently for like almost 2 years now, and all of my shit is very consistent, and I built that like that for that reason. So that's what I would say. I hope that helps. I don't know if that's going to help, but I hope it helps. All right, so we're moving over to let's go to Fluent Booking now, and then round it out with jet appointments. So Fluent Booking, if we come down to down here, let's go to Fluent Booking. Let's activate that. And let's see what we got here. All right, free version. Don't know what the pro version's like. Might be able to do that at some point. Free version already, Fluent Booking. You can kind of tell this is a newer product. You can kind of tell there's like not like Late Point was like its own area. It had its own thing here. This is way more direct. Might be for you if you want like a WordPress experience and more of a direct meeting type experience. You're going to see an incredible amount of overlap with the SaaS ones here. I feel like that's literally what they did was they just kind of like said, hey, this is what we're going to do. We're just going to make it just like the SaaS app, So event types, event names, meeting durations, locations. So these are all in the pro version, Google Meet, Teams, Zoom, in-person, organizer address, attendee address, or on the phone. Okay, a lot of stuff there. That's pretty standard though. Select your time zone. So I'm going to do that. But again, I don't think this is going to have that scenario that I need. Let's say error, this title field is required. Okay, it's not called title field, but okay. Just test. Oh, location type is required. Damn, okay. I'd like to see some stuff over here too, not just down there. Okay, cool. Great. This is always annoying when I see 24-hour time when I don't have that set like that in my WordPress install. That's the other thing too, is again, like now you're introducing, again, with these ones, you're introducing like WordPress settings, you're introducing plugin settings, and there's conflicts there potentially, and just weirdness that comes up rather than just being all in a SaaS app. So pros and cons, whatever on that. Meeting duration, this is all the same stuff. Availability, I did again do a pretty extensive relatively video on this when I did this with Calendly and everything. So I did look at this. I'm going to assume most of the stuff is still relatively the same. Which schedule do you want to use? You can use, I guess, a custom one. You can do date overrides, but I don't think that's what I want. Date overrides, marked to unavailable. See, I don't want to manage anything in here. I don't want to manage things like that. This is kind of like you could probably pack together a holiday thing here, but I don't, I wouldn't want to do that. The holiday thing is absolutely necessary in my book. There's limits. This is all pretty standard stuff. This looks literally exactly like cal.com with those toggles there. Limit booking frequency, got it. Limit total booking duration, limit time zone. Lock time zone on booking page. Oh shit. Okay. Hey, whoa. Hang on. That's huge. All right, that's huge. That would solve one of my problems there. That's great. And you can pick it. It's not just like one. But wait a second. This is for this event specifically? Okay, perfect. Yes. Okay. Huge up there for Fluent right there. That's huge. I don't think you can do the other thing I need though. Yeah, I don't think you can do I don't know where the setting would be. I don't think you can do the thing where you can override events based off of titles though. But that's huge. That's a really big one. Booking questions. So your name, let's see. This was really, really annoying last time. Okay, they fixed this. This is better. This was better before. Or this was worse before. You can like just easily kind of move these around. I would have rather seen a drag and drop, but that's fine. Whatever. So that's kind of cool. You can move those around. Let me see what do we got here. Oh, we can't get more questions unless we. Oh wait, we can't get more questions unless we do that. Reason for cancellation, reason for reschedule. Okay, it's definitely gotten a little bit better since then. Email notification, booking confirmation, booking canceled by attendee. All right, these are all relatively standard. How? Okay, just like this. Okay. Yeah, that works. That's an interesting thing down there too. Little add to calendar button. Does it send the calendar invite though? Because that's kind of concerning. SMS is pro, advanced settings pro. No bookings, availability. Let's look at the settings real quick and then maybe install the pro version if we can get it to work. Also, this is annoying. Like it's default. Why it said 12 and it was not doing 12 before. That's a problem. Mark booking is canceled automatically. Default field, enable booking summary. Oh, there was another thing that it was in that video. I was trying to install this on a GridPane website. I was trying to connect my my Google account when I had the pro version here, which we'll do, and it was having trouble with like GridPane. So you have to like change it to like a different firewall, I think, different version, or turn it on, turn it off, or something. Another reason I kind of just didn't do it at the time. Use first name for booking emails. Okay. All right. Stripe, PayPal, typical stuff. All right. Let's try to put the other one in here. Where's that? Fluent booking. Where do I add that? Let's go add. Whoops. Upload. Choose Fluent Booking Pro. Cool. Do I need to update this or do I need to activate this? Damn. Damn. Okay. Is that good? Might be good. Might not be good. I don't know. Let's reload. Activate. Let me slide this over here. Let me go over here real quick. You guys got to let me know too as I'm doing this. Randomly in here. Not really sure how we're doing with these live streams anymore. They were kind of like really great. Let me make sure that I'm still providing value because doesn't seem like I'm not really satisfied with how they're going. Appreciate all you guys, but I'm like trying to think of these. I thought this was a pretty good topic, poorly marketed, obviously, because I didn't really talk about it that much, but I'm considering like doing less live streams because I don't know. Most of it is honestly like Google and YouTube's issue because they just, after they're done, it's just like stupid that nobody like, nope, they don't, it doesn't come up at all. But be interesting to get some thoughts on that. If you think they're worth it or not, or what you would like to see. So back to this, we got Fluent. Now we have this whole thing in here. You can do like this whole thing, default app. You can do custom your own app or whatever. Okay. Let's go. Where were these? Let's go here. So we edit this, and then we have some more settings now. So we have limits. Where's our? So we can add more questions. Text area. There's a lot here. There's actually a lot here now. There was way less before, so that's cool. We can say required or not. Kind of want to see. Kind of want to see this on the front end, to be honest. Where's the calendar invite? Is this it? Wow, that's kind of nice. Where's the calendar invite thing? Is that this? That might be this. I don't know. I kind of want to see this on the front end though, so I'm probably just going to try to pop out here real quick. This is that customer cabinet I was talking about with what's it called before? Let's see here. How do we get this on here? I can't even remember. Is there a is there a thing here? Oh, this is the other thing too. Now, like I'm in some other random spot because this is my host / like agent type thing for Fluent, and you can kind of like enter some of this information or whatever. Enter landing page features for the calendar. Yeah, there's just a lot. There's a lot going on in these ones. These ones on WordPress. How do I embed this? Short code. That'll work. Oh, there's a landing page. What is it? Well, I'm turning that back on. What does that do? Oh, shit. Wow, that's actually kind of nice because LatePoint doesn't have that. LatePoint, the problem with this one, the problem with this stuff is I want to get to Jet Appointment because it is, like, in my opinion, one of the best structures. I just don't know the feature set recently. When you have these meetings, every single time I've had one of these meetings, I've wanted to make them, like if they're in WordPress, I've wanted to make them like a custom post type, like, you know, meetings or events or whatever. And then I wanted to have, singles for them. And I normally manually make them and then I connect like the links or whatever. So if you can see, like, this is an example. This is an example. If I go to like events, so this is a working example. So on my website here, I have PressConf, WordCamp, whatever, and these are actual things. They're singles, they're events, you know, custom post types. I don't have the single active right now because right here I just have like a link to more info and then I have a link to my meeting link. But the idea would be that for most cases, I feel like in things like this, you'd probably also want to have an event on your website, potentially, depending on the type of thing it is. And the trouble is the back end structure of this is that there's an event CPT and there's fields in there. So it's got the title field, it's got the stuff and everything. It has two fields. It has one for that says, you know, website link to the PressConf website link, and it has another one that says my meeting link. But in a real world, like I would, if I was doing my meetings on my website, like through WordPress, I wouldn't, you know, like it would just kind of be done on the single and it would all kind of like be a little bit more cohesive. So I don't know. My point is that you can do it. It's just now you have to kind of like inject the meeting link because they're going to be taken out to whatever the SaaS is, in this case, Calendly. So I don't know if that really made sense without seeing it, but didn't want to go all the way in there necessarily right now. I do just want to check out this thing real quick because this was not here before, and I don't. What is this? This landing page thing. What is this? Where does this go? What does this do? Wow, that's kind of nice. It's literally they just, you know, took the cal thing. That's cool. That's pretty nice. So this is actually kind of really cool in a way because now you get this on WordPress, but then you also get this experience, which, you know, generally doesn't happen. You don't really get it both ways. You would have had to like build your own thing, which you could still build your own thing, but this is actually kind of nice. The one problem with this is, again, it's not the event types, as I can see, are not their own custom post types. So you don't have that level of access to them and you can't, you know, handle them the same way. But that thing is really cool. That the landing page, the built-in quick landing page thing is really cool. Apparently they have blocks, okay? And then generate a link to a landing page. This is interesting. Generate booking link with URL parameters. Okay. That's interesting. Not really sure what to do there. What I want to try to do is I just want to take this and drop it in here real quick. Can I just do this in a... Oh, let's see here. Boom. Short code. There you go. Oops. Save that. Oh, is this the home page? So that's super tiny. And that's probably from some sort of ACSS, maybe. I don't want to say that for sure, but this is like in, this is just out of the box, like bricks type shit right here that I just did that with. So with ACSS and everything like that already in there. So we'll probably have to play around with that. I think that's probably an ACSS thing. If I had to guess, it's not an ACSS problem, but it's happening via ACSS. But again, yeah, it's just a bunch of weird shit. But the big thing is that I'm not even zoomed out here. This is just the other big thing is like if you had a bunch of it's not gonna have that embed vibe, right? Like if you had a lot of questions in here and everything like that. Like let me see if I can just do that real quick and then we'll hop on to the next. If I go here and I go questions and I go like add. Oh, it'd be nice if you could duplicate too. It'd be nice if you could duplicate these. That's one other thing that I was thinking of. Can I just like put a couple in here? Oh, that was exactly the same question. Save changes, and then what does this look like over here? See how it automatically resizes? And you're never gonna get like a scroll thing in here or anything because this is literally built into the page. Like this is all, I believe. Yeah, it's like all, I feel like it's all like legit. It's not like an iframe or anything. So that's just kind of, obviously the pro. Like when you're thinking about this and you're like, oh, we were building in WordPress, we want to put everything in WordPress. This is the reason you would do that. That's because like you get a better experience sort of in that way, and you could you have more control over this stuff, which looks like shit right now, but you have more control over that. So yeah, something to be cognizant of and consider. I would say, just from my estimation, Fluent Booking has got a lot better. Really like that landing page thing. Calendly's the only one that I've seen that has those specific things that I need, but definitely some improvement there. So super excited to see that. All right, last one. We're going into Jet Appointment. Haven't seen this one in a minute. So let's go over here. All right, so if you're not familiar with Jet Engine, it's pretty impressive. I've used it for a long time. Jet Appointment is one of their plugins, and you have to set it up. So you have to create, like, this is different. This is way different. You have to create a service post type. It's the only one so far that we've seen that actually has one. You have to actually create it and then, kind of go from there. And then providers is like agents, like we were talking about with the other ones. So if you come into, I guess the way that we have to do this is we have to go to post types here. We have to say boom. We have to say, so what is the language they use? Do they use services? So they use services. I don't like the idea of using services, but I would probably say like meeting types or something like that. And then say add new, whatever, and then come over here, refresh, come here. And then this would be meeting types. So now when you're doing this is Jet Appointment here. You're connecting the meeting types post type that we just created to the actual services thing that you're going to have to utilize. And again, you could do providers as well. You don't have to. So it's kind of interesting. Set up the DB columns. I don't think we have... there's probably a ton of... I didn't create any meta fields. So you kind of have to like manually do a lot of this stuff. I'll take a look at it in a second. Time format, I like that one. Scheduling type, slot, time picker, recurring. So there's some interesting things there. Duration. You can see this already. This is like much more manual in a way. Yeah. So it's a lot of interesting things there. We got a question from J-Man here. Can you add like a welcome video or anything? I just bought Zcal and you can embed a personal video for each meeting if you'd like. That adds a nice personal touch. I think it means a lot to some clients. Interesting. So do you mean like during the booking process? Or um do you mean during the booking process or do you mean afterwards? Off the top of my head, I haven't used Zcal, no idea. But with these ones, like I could think of a way to get a video in front of them as they're booking. I could do that. Especially, well, I could think of it at all, but not I haven't is there no maybe with some of the fields that were in here. Um there might be some fields where you could do that. I don't think they're where is this? I want to let's go back to Fluent just for a second here. I don't think there's going to be the only way I could think of that is like you're literally booking, right? So I know an easy way to do it, an easy way to me. But if you go to like one of these bookings, for instance, right? If you go to like if you go to this one, yeah, like a landing page type of thing when when you're booking time, I could absolutely build that. I'm not sure of your level of like care about this, like WordPress experience or like, like what that is, but I'll tell you in a second. Let me just look at this real quick. So if you go to your questions for this, um, I'm just seeing if there's like an HTML or anything that you could embed here. Not really, because these are all going to be like uploaded things. Um, of note there that did have file upload, which I don't think a lot of the other ones do. This is Fluent. Fluent Booking does have file upload. So what I would do if I needed that, okay, if I needed that, I could make that happen with any of these. But the way that I would do it is I would do it on my website. So what I would do is I would come in and I would say, okay, these are my meeting types. Let's just use this because we were using the example of the jet appointment, but it's the same thing. What I would do is I would come into again, this might be outside the scope of what you're trying to achieve. You might have been trying to do this within a UI. I don't think that's possible in any of the tools that I talked about here today, but I'll try this for you. So how I would do that is I would have meeting types here, and then I would have like potentially a bunch of other like different meta fields, but I would say like, intro video, something like this. And realistically, you could do one of two things. You could do a link, like a YouTube link that it could be like a video that lives on YouTube or Vimeo and just like unlisted. Like it doesn't have to be a public link. It just has to be listed somewhere. So that's probably the easiest. So you would just do like text in this case or URL, depending on what thing you're using. What I'm looking at here specifically is Jet Engine. So it's managing my custom post types and my meta fields. If you did it like this, then you could do text. If you wanted to upload, I know you can't see these fields, the stupid drop down, but there's text, or you could do media. If you did media, you're uploading the video directly to your WordPress site in this case, and you're going to be showing it just like on the page as the actual video. If you're not doing it like that and you want to just do the text, then you're going to be just embedding that link into a video on the front end, basically. So let me think of the easiest way to kind of show this. So this is an intro video for our meeting type. So let's say that you have a discovery meeting, right? So, all right. So we're going to go down to meeting types. We're going to click add a new post, meeting type, whatever. We're going to say this is going to be a discovery call. So this is a discovery call. The concept here is that you're going to send a link to your person, your potential prospect or whatever. They're going to come in to a page and they're going to see discovery call, book a discovery call with us. They're going to see a video and they're going to see a calendar. It's effectively what you want, right? The best way to do that in this way without, some sort of, packaged UI like that is you'd come down here and you'd put your video in here. I don't know if there's a great way to kind of do that here. Let me go to YouTube real quick and grab something on this other screen over here just for the sake of it. This is fine. Doesn't matter. Let me copy the link address here and come down here. There's a lot of things that I'm kind of like I'm not glossing over, but there's a lot of different pieces to this. So this might not be helpful at all. I do apologize if that's the case. So then this is your discovery call. And this ultimately the way to make a landing page in this environment is you would create a single for that. That's like we're getting into like really into the weeds here of like building pages and stuff. Let me see this here. This is how I would solve it as well, and I think Jet would be the best to alternative to achieve that. Yeah, yeah, yeah. So let's just do it with Jet then. Okay, cool. So like Jet Engine here. So now we have our appointments, and then we're gonna have discovery call. And that discovery call, this is why I like the idea of Jet appointments, because it blends these two things. If you're gonna do this all on your WordPress website, it makes it a lot more cohesive. So you have down here and you get all your different stuff here. I don't really want to go too deep into these settings. We've looked at 16 different settings here, and all of these are the exact same pretty much. There are probably things that aren't here though, because I know that Jet appointment seems to be the one that lacks a little bit in certain cases of this. The reason that I didn't use Jet appointment when I started this search back 2-3 years ago is because at the time it had difficulty with the whole like syncing, which at that point it's like if you can't sync Google Calendar to these things, like it's a deal breaker. I can't do it. I think at this point they've rectified that. But they do have like WooCommerce integrations and this right here. So like a single service booking form, a sample page booking form, interesting stuff like that. Also, the other pro and con to this is that the form part of this is like kind of built by you. This is a very manual solution. This is built by you. So you have to use Jet Forms or Jet Form Builder. I would probably recommend Jet Form Builder, but you might hate that. It is a form builder built in the block editor that I've used. I used a lot, and then I switched to WS Form, and it's just a weird. It's not a weird thing. It's just like the situation here is like there's so many different things that are being pulled together, and you're now fully embedded basically in the Crock-a-Block system, so to speak. Um, so it's something. It's just something to kind of be wary of. And yeah, so if we go to let's see here. Um, we have all that. We created our single booking form. I don't even know if that actually created anything though, because I don't think I have Jet Form Builder set up on this yet. Oh shit. Okay. Did it automatically download that for me? It might have. You can see how weird we're getting here already. Not weird in a bad way, just weird in like okay, there's like different stuff going on. We are in the block editor here now. This is how you actually book this shit. Like this is it right here. This is in the block editor, but it's technically Jet Form Builder that you're using to build this. You have your service ID, which is like a hidden field basically that's like bringing in the service ID for these different things. I'm gonna go ahead and just try to whip this up really fast. If I go to Bricks templates and I go to add a new template and I say meeting type single, whatever, something like that. And then I go over here and I say single. If you're interested in what I'm doing right here, I'm going to try to fly through it, but you can go watch, type in wpdynamicdata.co. I have a free course on YouTube, highly underrated in my opinion, that you could learn all this shit about this. And so in here we would have like, our, I don't know, I could probably put like a single template together here or whatever, but basically we'd have, something like, let's do a heading, and of course it doesn't put it in there. Fuck. Okay. There we go. Just something like this, and just say like, this is our post title. Doesn't really matter. Boom. Cool. And then not necessary, but we'll do that. And then, this is where like you have to like add effectively your own thing. So we were talking about the video, right? So we have video, boom, video down here. I think they changed this now. Did they change it? Yeah. Finally, we could put a URL in here. I don't know why it was like an ID for so long. What's my field? My field is intro video. There we go. So that should work when we populate the proper one. Also, I haven't set up the template settings yet for the conditions of including post type of meeting types. So what this means is that when you go to the meeting type single now, like meeting types / discovery call, you could send them there. I love that concept. I love sending somebody to like an actual single to get them to do it. So they'll see that. And then I think I haven't done this because I haven't used Jet Form Builder in Bricks, because I moved to WS Form when I moved to Bricks. But single service booking form, I think this will work. Static page booking form, I think it'll work like this. Cool. It's going to be weird. Obviously, it's not going to look good. But if we go back over to here, so we go to our discovery call. So the concept would be now is this is the link that you would send them. You would send them like meeting types discovery call or whatever. And that's how you would do that. This looks like shit, obviously, but this is how you would do that. So this is a single on your website, which again, I love the cohesiveness of meeting types and discovery call. You could have, recap call, you could have whatever, you could have a ton of different ones. And then this top part, so to speak, this is brought in dynamically for our custom post type. And this is the video link that I put in when we created that specific post meeting type, whatever, as a CPT post. And then, yeah, so you could do this. You could obviously change this to do whatever, to autoplay and all that jazz. But imagine you drop them here, they see a little video, and then you say, hey, schedule. And it's like, this is the problem with this, though, is that this is super manual to deal with this. And it doesn't look great out of the box. And there's a lot of problems that you have to kind of sift through. It will work. It's not, and they have really nice examples. I should probably show an example somewhere else, but it's like, what is this? You know what I mean? Like, you can change this. I've used this before. You can put backgrounds, you put all this stuff, but this is not a polished SaaS feel. This is like, I'm going to have to do a shit ton of work to make this look really how I would want it to. And you're just at kind of the mercy of a lot of that. So what I would probably end up doing, and what I've kind of done on the other side, like my website and stuff, is I just create the custom post type. So I have all that situation, but then I just inject, a Calendly link, or even like a Fluent booking situation. You can kind of do it like that. But this is the only one that I know of that I've tried, Jet Appointment, where you actually have to physically intertwine custom post types, which is great. I mean, I love that. So yeah, I used it before. Very weird for the first time, but yeah, but that was years ago. Maybe it's better now. I feel like it's gotten slightly better. It's a weird thing. I'm sure there's a lot of settings that I didn't cover down here, but this is just weird. I mean, again, no styling done. I'm not trying to make waves with Crocoblock, because Jet Engine is amazing. The whole thing is great. But that's one of the ones where, if we go to here, let's go here maybe. You see what I'm saying? Like, this looks a lot better than whatever we saw right out of the box there. But you're going to have to do this. So this is where you decide, like, do I have the time, energy, and will to do this? Do I have the, does the budget, if it's a client project, like, should I go this route, or should I just tell them to buy the other thing? But you could see, like, it has the ability to look pretty slick. The cool part is, again, it's pros and cons. This is fully customizable. You're building that thing in a form. Like the block, where's this at? The block here, like, this is a block, right? So it's like appointment date, appointment provider, like, these are blocks. That thing in the middle, there's appointment date, that's a block. I could move this around, I could do whatever. You're not at the mercy of like the flow of late point, or the flow of Calendly, or what have you. I mean, there's definitely some benefits there. Advanced choices, that's pretty cool. I haven't seen Jet Form Builder in a while, so a lot of different things there. Kind of to consider and everything like that. But that's how you kind of go about that. That is a great idea there, J-Man, with the whole video thing. I might need to try to do some of that as well, because that's kind of the singles. You could definitely enhance your singles if you're doing more stuff like that. Let me go back over here just for a second. Is there any? So let's just look at these examples real quick, because I'm not going to build all this right now. Barbershop. So there's a repeat one. Healthcare, that's showing more of the provider thing. So you could have like providers. Again, that's a sick thing. You can manage your providers independently. Are any of these examples like live examples? Services, doesn't really make sense to pick like an end time necessarily for that, but photo. The problem here is, like, they all you can style them and everything like that. That's cool, but it doesn't give me cool SaaS vibes, which is sad, because that's something that in some settings you require that, especially, consultation, Lisa. That's, again, though, that's super cool right there. The concept of, you can have multiple services, you can like put them all together, you can add the totals up and everything like that, and then you can pick it. The problem with that is that how, like, that's you got to think of these things from a technical perspective, and then you got to think of them from a business case perspective. It's like, can I make that fit into the business case? Like, what if there's some sort of weird conditional logic where you only have to have like consulting at this time or something like that, or I don't know. But definitely cool. If you're gonna use this, use my link in the description. I appreciate that. But if you're gonna try this out, go and look at these examples and see like, okay, how can I set this up? Does it look like I can get what I want out of this? And like, how would it, how ultimately would it fit into my project that I'm trying to do? Yeah. Is there any functional ones? CPTs. Again, this is really cool because you could do whatever you want though. Like I'm super bullish on the CPT method of this. I just think that it could continue to get better. Listing grid. Okay, obviously all these are straightforward. Booking form, adjusting, post submit actions. You can obviously get paid. Appointment reminders. I would have to see the big things for me though. Again, like I would have to make sure that there are certain things that you want to fuck with, and there's certain things that you really don't want to. Like the appointment part. Like I'm hoping that it can automatically put. And I don't know the answer to this question, and I don't really have the energy necessarily to kind of like super dive into this. Is this automatically giving me? Is it automatically putting the things in the calendar? Because that's a huge thing. I don't want to have to work. I don't have to want to rely on that. Oh, there are workflows. What kind of workflows we got? Appointment created. You can't see these, of course. Appointment created. Appointment group created. Status changed. Actions. Send an email. Call a webhook. Yeah, I mean, again, you really have to decide which land you want to play in. You want to play in SaaS land, or you want to play in WordPress land. Very different for both. J-Man says, that's where I'm split. It's more flexible with Jet Engine, but Zcal, as an example, comes pretty out of the box and got it for $49. But yeah, it's 100% pros and cons. I mean, if I were you, I don't know the full use case, but what I would consider doing is the hybrid approach. And since we're on this, I will let me see if I can pull it up. Oh yeah, Zapier, yeah. Let me see if I can pull it up real quick, just to kind of give you an example of what I've done with a Calendly, which I feel like Zcal is probably not. I don't know if it's super similar. Why don't I just pull that up first? Zcal. Right here. Okay. Beautiful scheduling pages. Interesting. Yep. Cool. Definitely modern. Interesting. I've seen that guy one too many times. The guy that was on that first one. Collective scheduling, round robin. Yeah, all standard stuff. That's an interesting design there. Yeah, I mean, obviously I don't know anything else about this, but it seems like this is a SaaS, right? Yeah, gotta be, right? It seems like it's not a plugin, right? Yeah, I don't think so. It seems like a similar to the other ones we were talking about. So like for instance, I'll kind of show you just some other examples. I mean, maybe you guys have already thought about this, but this is my website, the back end here. A lot of interesting things we could talk about. Probably not today though. But so like I have events because I'm going on these events now, these trips and shit, right? So I'm going to be at these different events, and I was like, okay, I want to have them on my page, so everything like that. So but these are also, there's two prongs to this. There's not just like I want to show you. There's not just I want to show the events, because these are custom post types, these are looped, everything like that. It's not just that. I also want to do this meeting type of situation too. And I'm not using Jet Engine for this. I'm using Calendly. So the way in which I do this is I go to like, PressConf here as an example. And it's like, I have all these different things in the back end, right? So I have, this is built with Jet Engine, this custom post type in the meta fields, but it's not using Jet Appointment. So this is, if I was giving you the best of both worlds scenario to a degree, I mean, it looks like that Zcal thing has like its own pages or whatever, but the best case scenario that I could think here is something like this, where You have your own, this is a custom post type you create. You have to manage these independently, which is a pain in the ass because now you have a scheduling meeting type over here in this thing, and you also have your event over here. The only good part about that though is that if it's something like this, then you are managing them independently, but they're not really the same thing. One is to schedule and one is to potentially show more information about stuff that's, it really depends on what you're trying to do. In this case, I have like start time and end time. I have location, event info. And this was late point. I have this in here for when I was using it because I was doing the same thing, but I was using the service ID from late point to embed their booking tool, and then scheduling URL down here. I have just a Calendly link, and then if I'm gonna add more stuff here, like if I have a talk and where it's at and all that sort of stuff, or if I'm a media partner or anything like that, I haven't built this out fully. And I also want to have past events and all that jazz. But the idea would be that you could have something like this here where, because I've done this in the past where I've had like slash meetings and I'll have all of them. I basically create the Calendly page, but I create it on my own website, my own style and everything. And then it just has links out to the other ones. And again, it's managing two things in one place in different places, really annoying, but this is basically what you would do. And then you have like meet with me, and then, it takes you over to Calendly. And this could be ZCal, this could be SavvyCal, this could be whatever. It's not the best because again, the best is Jet Appointment, my opinion. The best is Jet Appointment with a SaaS feel. Hard to doesn't exist. So yeah, I don't know. That's kind of where I'm at with that. Yeah. It's like Calendly. ZCal is nice. Definitely. This is what I was looking for. A good combo idea. Yeah. Hell yeah. Hopefully that helps. That's what I've been doing. Like I said, I've tried it like this before. Then I tried the late point approach. But the problem with late point again is late point doesn't really solve. Late point's great for those certain cases, but for me, it didn't really solve those issues because I still had no custom post types. I was in WordPress and I had to do a lot of work, and it wasn't exactly a great fit. If you're doing a service-based thing where you don't have to necessarily, you could still have your own custom post type and manage certain things. If you're doing a service-based thing, that's definitely the way to go. Again, like a local service type thing, I would highly recommend. But for these other ones, I think this is kind of more the approach that I kind of like to do. Overall, I feel like. Is there anything else that I could bring up about this? I think that's pretty much it. Yeah. So I mean, again, a lot of really good options here. If you end up using Jet Appointment, I would recommend that you look at this first, like their kind of their documentation stuff. What is this actually, real quick? It's showing in the Google Calendar. I don't know. I'm just create appointment coverage. I'm just interested in this because I never got far enough to do this because I didn't. It was at the time, like I said, when there were syncing issues with Google Calendar, so I didn't even go any further because it needs to sync with my calendar. But that's another random thing that I'll throw in here is sometimes you don't need that. Like if you had a business that was 9 to 5, think about this. If you had a business that was 9 to 5, your client's business is 9 to 5 in the office every time. I think what some of these things are built to do is, yeah, they sync to the calendar, but ultimately you need a scheduling tool for your business. So in a late point, for instance, if you just say 9 to 5 every day, excluding certain days or whatever like that, we're here and we're available and you can schedule with us. You don't need a Google Calendar. You could just use that as the calendar and you would just see that, and then you wouldn't need to sync with anything. It would just be like, is it in the system or not? It's in the system. Okay, well then don't book over. Obviously, it wouldn't show you that. I think there's opportunities to do that with Jet Appointment and all the other ones as well. I just think that from the virtual standpoint, if we're talking about those types of meetings, that's not normally how we think because we're always available, but we're also sometimes not available, and that's dynamic based off of our calendar. And that's the part that I have just been constantly thinking about how to solve for with all these different things, all this different time. But again, there's a lot of interesting things here. I just haven't dove in. What is a single service page? Interesting. Maybe I could have done that too. I don't know how. I don't know what that was. I made my own single, obviously, but interesting. Okay. Well, hopefully this was somewhat valuable for you all. Um, who's here? Exactly. I've come to the exact same conclusions. Yeah, 100%. Tried late point two, had the same thoughts. Yeah, I mean, again, great team. Great Discord too, if I could say that too as well. Like join the Discord if you have late point, if you're going to try late point, because they have a lot of really good stuff. All this, all the community around there is like really good, and like I said, the dev is a really good guy that is I've been on specific calls and like he's fixed a lot of things because of that. So definitely all good products here that we talked about today. Just as a recap, I would say the first thing you have to decide is if you want a SaaS type of approach or if you want something more in WordPress. My personal journey has been I wanted the SaaS and then I was like, I want to be more in WordPress. And I was like, the amount of work and the trade-offs aren't really entirely worth it. So then ultimately I ended up with that hybrid approach where I have custom post types, but then I also utilize the links out to like the Calendlies or whatever. And it seems like it works. And again, I have ridiculous requirements that today I went through 7 things, and the only one that I saw that actually worked exactly the way that I wanted to was still Calendly. So that's helpful for me to know that that's the solution that I need to stick with for the time being. But yeah, hopefully that was helpful. If you guys have any other thoughts, questions, or whatever, I know there's a lot of other ones out there. There's Amelia, there's a Tidy Cow, there's Zcow, there's a ton of them. We could do this again sometime if you guys want. Just definitely let me know. And if you're interested in other things, dynamic content, automation, AI related stuff like that, I'm going to continue to make this content, obviously. Last thing I'm leaving you with is again that live stream concept. I like doing live streams. I love being live, but I've noticed that, I feel like numbers have been kind of down, and I'm not like worried about that. But at the same time, I want to make sure that I'm not worried about the numbers. I'm worried about the value. So if there's things that are specific, again, like you guys want to see, then definitely let me know. Try to put out some more polls and things like that. But just something that I'm thinking about over here as I create content to hopefully help you guys and entertain you guys. So that's all I got. This has been fantastic. I'm happy with this. I've had this on my list for a while. I'm glad we got it done. And yeah, cool. So appreciate all you guys hanging out. Thank you so much for all the good comments, thoughts, and everything like that. And I will talk to you in the next one. See you.